Hello, my name is Neil Saji. I am going to be going to Berkeley and studying electrical engineering and computer science. Honestly, the one that stands out to me the most that also came from you, Trevor, like recommending me to do it was debate. I was not shy, but I wasn't confident in my speech going into high school. So joining debate was a pretty big leap for sure for someone like me. But then Trevor recommended me not just for college, also just because it was fun, right? It's a fun club. And that was definitely a decision that I'm very proud of because joining debate, it's like an extracurricular that colleges like, but I met so many new people through it. I developed my speaking skills, my research skills, and just a multitude of like just skill sets that would help me later on in life. Another one would be the various like projects we tried working towards, not just like the successes, but also the failures or the ones that didn't quite work out as planned, like in freshman year, sophomore year with Ecotechly, that was still really valuable, starting the 501(c)(3, it not working out, and then me learning from it and improvising and, using that knowledge to do better later on with other projects. So just like those private or those small like projects that related to computer science that we did outside of class were really useful.
Neil, do you think that there's something qualities that maybe were just instilled in you as like a young person that maybe your parents kind of helped build those values in you to help you become the person you are today?
Yeah. I think it's not just my parents actually, also my brother. Okay, yeah, so balance is definitely a very important quality or characteristic that helped me in high school. As I said earlier, I mean, I'm doing like debate, tennis, many projects, while also hanging out with friends and maintaining relationships. My parents emphasizing that it's important to get a good education whilst also enjoying and having fun in high school was very important because I never got burnt out. And one of them was genuinely putting the hard work and putting like the time into your assignments, putting it into your education and putting the effort in. So in class, paying attention even when it like maybe you don't think it's super important. I kind of learned the value of that and it paid off in the end. So balance and just being grateful for education and staying focused are very important. I think for me it was like combined. Obviously, like the money is like a good part, but I also took computer science in high school. I took AP CSA, and I ended up doing really good in like the final, the AP test, and it was pretty enjoyable for me too. And then I think what really made me major in it was my like mini projects or Inspire AI, which is basically like this project I did with a mentor. We created like a kind of like a debate judge AI that automatically graded your speeches and like could relay a score based off that someone that you could use to like improve yourself. I mentioned that spike earlier as well, where extracurriculars culminate into one area of study. So I thought because of debate, because of that project, linguistics could also be an area of study that admissions officers would see that, hey, this kid's put in the work and he has an interest in linguistics, so let's let him study it at our college. So that's why that was my second major for a few of my colleges. I have a good understanding of college admissions, of college essays, everything. I can watch videos, but at the end of the day, you've been through this process so many times with so many different types of students, so many different people. You know the advice that's really, really helpful to students, no matter what place, like no matter what type of student they are, right? So even me being confident in my like my college admissions and my knowledge, I got so much useful advice from you that it was definitely 100% worth, no matter what. Honestly, it was more so like the overall journey because throughout the whole time, I knew I kind of had like you as like a nice like beam of support that was really strong, right? Whenever I had a question, I could go to you. There were consistent meetings that would put me back on track with extracurriculars and make me stay on top of my studies, like everything. I'd look forward whenever I got like good grades, I'd look forward to updating you. So although those aren't like huge milestones, those systematically like those intervals of like positive meetings that we've had would keep me motivated and they'd also keep me on track. So by the time senior came around, I was like, everything's set up already. I have my extracurriculars, I have my projects, I have my grades, I have my SAT, I just need to apply. So those aren't large milestones, but it's just like the ever-present like presence of you, Trevor, and like Premier overall was just really beneficial overall in applying overall over the 4 years. Your presence has been very, really, really beneficial. For people who are confident in their high school capabilities, having someone like you, Trevor, to provide new ideas that you have seen work, or tried and true, like they work out for people to get into good colleges. Having that presence is very beneficial because those new ideas can breed into really good avenues that colleges like to see. I think one thing that would be really nice in pointing out was your connections, right? Like I didn't end up getting to Stanford, but the ability for you to connect me with two people, or you connect me with one person who was so nice, they brought another person who were both from Stanford, and it wasn't just like alone to that, right? I can't remember, like Stanford stands out to me that interview time, but several other times where I've asked you for a connection and you presented me like, hey, here's one. But I think it's a very, very valuable asset that you presented these past 4 years that should stand out. Although I'm a big advocate for talking to a bunch of people, getting a bunch of perspectives, and then combining like all your knowledge into one essay that represents you, I think there is such a thing as overrepresentation or like over studying for essays, right? Because if you read all these different essays, what happens is you start seeing that these clashing of styles makes you feel like yours isn't correct. When in the end, there's so many different styles because there isn't one fit for college applications. There's a lot of different ways that you can apply. So my Common App, I think I rewrote a few times, and then sometimes I would like read my friends. I try to change it, but at the end of the day, I think just relying on you, Trevor, and going for that essay that we worked together on, that we talked about, and that we decided was, the right way to do it for me, was a good decision in the end, and it helped get into good schools like USC. So I think my advice for Common App would be look at the topics, genuinely or like think through them, take your time, read up online, but then once you've done your research, just relax and write your drafts. Don't like overthink it too much. Don't read a bunch of people's essays. Just relax and write. And then once you have a few drafts, talk to Trevor about it, and then you can see how to go from there.
Do you mind just sharing about your decision tree element that you put into your essay?
Yeah, of course. So my decision tree was basically like it's trying to debate and how when prompted with like a question or a situation, I think of two different avenues to go down, like either A or B. And then from there, that branch has two more branches. That branch has two more branches. But I remember we worked together to getting a clear statement of that unique idea. Because articulating unique ideas is hard to do, and that's what makes you stand out. So by articulating this decision tree that goes on in my mind, I feel like I was able to stand out, which consequently helped me do well during college admissions.